Hello everyone. Today we are going to study digestive system of cockroach. Relatively easy, lesser bifurcations, and I hope by the end of the lecture it would be clear to you. Now, first and foremost, this is how the digestive system of a cockroach looks like. It starts with something called as a pharynx or the mouth organs and ends at rectum or the anal cavity. Okay, so this entire section is going to be your digestive system of the cockroach. Now, this digestive system gets divided into three categories or three sections: mouth parts, salivary glands, and alimentary canal. Okay, like us in our body, when we consider a human body, we have mouth. So with mouth, we have jaws, we have cheekbones, which are helping us. We have teeth for mastication. We have tongue, right? Similarly, even the cockroach has got mouth parts, and these mouth parts are going to be on a similar front with human. So they are going to be labrum, mandible, hypopharynx, maxilla, and labium. We'll learn about these when we are going to discuss the parts of cockroach's body. Under this section, we are not covering mouth. We are only covering how digestion occurs and what all parts are required for that. Next is salivary glands. We also have salivary glands as humans. Salivary glands give out what? It gives out saliva, which helps in digestion, right? So here you can see, if you can note the pointer, these are the pair of salivary glands which are present, okay? And then there is alimentary canal, which gets divided into three sections: foregut, midgut, hindgut, okay? So even in us, in humans, we have got something called as a foregut, midgut, hindgut, but we name it differently. We name it as esophagus, stomach, intestines, large intestines. So here we are going to categorize in cockroach as three types of gut. Okay. First, foregut is going to be called as stomodeum. Midgut is mesenteron, and hindgut is proctodeum. Even if you don't remember the scientific names, it's okay. Let's dive into understanding the system. Okay, let's see the foregut first. So under foregut, we have four parts. Okay, so remember foregut, four parts. Okay, what are the four parts? Pharynx, esophagus, crop, and gizzard. Let's locate. Pharynx, we have an esophagus, we have a crop, and we have a small gizzard. Okay, names don't ring a bell, like what can be a crop, what can be a gizzard. But from our body anatomy, we know there is something called as pharynx in human. There is something called as esophagus in human as well. So what is the role of pharynx? Pharynx over here has something called as sensillae, meaning small receptors, which can analyze the taste. Okay, they are working in conjunction with tongue, okay, to understand what taste is there, what type of food is coming in. Okay, so this is a very short and narrow muscular tube over here. A very small part, okay, is called as a pharynx. Next, we have esophagus. Let's see what is esophagus. Nothing much. Esophagus is just a passage. It's pretty long enough and narrow. That is it. Nothing different. Like in our body also, esophagus does not have any digestive function. It is just a passage which is going to help pass the food from the mouth to the stomach. Okay. Next, we have crop. Crop is where things start getting serious. Now, crop is a place where generally food is stored. In our body, in human body, food is stored and then digested in the stomach itself. But before the actual stomach of the cockroach, there is a small temporary storage unit called as a crop. It's pear-shaped. You can see over here, it's a pear-shaped muscular sac, and it stores food. Lastly, in the foregut, fourth part of the foregut is gizzard. See, it is called as proventriculus. In scientific term, ventriculus means stomach. Proventriculus means a section of the body just before the stomach. Okay, so what it does, since cockroach does not have teeth on its own, right, in the mouth, it does not have the teeth that we look at, okay, the way we have it for mastication. So it has what? Before the stomach starts, there needs to be crushing of food and filtering of food. Okay, so it can go to the stomach then and get properly digested. To crush and filter the food, there is something called as gizzard, and these gizzards have teeth and bristles. Okay, so we'll look at gizzard in the next slide. See, this is the transverse section of gizzard, and you can see there are 6 teeth and small bristles alongside. So what are these teeth going to do? They are going to crush any food that has come inside the crop, and then the bristles are going to filter out the liquid portion of the food. Okay, so we have 4 parts of foregut: pharynx, esophagus, crop, and gizzard. After foregut, we have something called as a midgut or mesenteron. Midgut, only 2 parts. What are the 2 parts? Stomach and hepatic ceca. Some people also call it as cesae. Ceca or cesae both mean the same, nothing different. So you can pronounce it the way you want. Let's see stomach first. Stomach is called as ventriculus in scientific language. Okay, so any part that is digesting and storing as well is called as a ventriculus. This stomach is not actually visible over here in the diagram. It is internally present, okay? It's internal to the hepatic ceca. That's why it's not properly visible in the diagram. What is the role of stomach? It carries out digestion and absorption. Now, in humans, digestion is done by stomach and absorption and assimilation is done by intestine. Here, both the functions are done by stomach itself. Okay, so there is no intestine over here. Both the work of digestion and absorption are carried out by the ventriculus. There is something called as glandular epithelium over here in stomach, which helps in secretion of digestive juices. Okay. Next, surrounding the stomach, there is another portion called as hepatic ceca. Now, ceca are these long muscular tubules, if you can see. Okay, they are extending tubules, which basically secrete digestive enzymes. So let's say stomach is falling short of some enzymes which can carry out digestion. That would be secreted by hepatic ceca. So midgut has stomach and hepatic ceca, and their entire role revolves around digestion and absorption. Finally, we have got hindgut or proctodeum, and there are 3 parts in it similar to ours. There is ileum, colon, and rectum. The same thing occurs in the large intestine of humans, right? Okay, so it's hindgut is nothing but similar to the large intestine of humans, where we have ileum, colon, and rectum. So intestinal portion is hindgut, but it's not characterized as an intestine. Okay. Now see over here, just in the intersection of midgut and hindgut, there is small, what we can say, tubule-like structure present, which are called as Malpighian tubules. They do not carry out any specific functions. They are excretory in role, although, but in our syllabus, we are only going to relate them as an intersection between midgut and hindgut. Although Malpighian name itself is representing nitrogenous waste filtration unit. Even in our body, there is Malpighian tubule in the nephron. Okay. Next comes ileum. Okay, ileum is direct conjunction. Ileum has something called as a sphincter. Now, what is a sphincter? Sphincter is a valve-like muscle. Okay, even in our body, we have it. Okay, so ileum has a sphincter which allows the passage of food into the hindgut. So see, here we have midgut. There is Malpighian tubule over here, and then we have hindgut. Just between or just before the hindgut starts, there is a small muscular opening which is controlled by the cockroach itself, okay, which allows the entry of digested and undigested food into the hindgut. So this is a small opening. In our body also we have sphincters. The most common sphincter that you might have heard of would be cardiac sphincter, pyloric sphincter. If not, you might have heard of something called a sphincter in the urinary bladder. Okay, so we control that sphincter, that opening, and because we control it, we are going to decide when we want to urinate. So once the urinary bladder is full, this sphincter can be opened using our own voluntary decision. And that is when we go to the washroom and we release out the urine, right? So whenever we want to release something, pass something into another section of the body, we have got something called as a sphincter or a guard. Now, what does the ileum do? If you notice over here, ileum sends through the sphincter nitrogenous waste like uric acid. Uric acid, cockroach is uricotelic in nature. It's an insect, right? So it excretes nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid. Humans excrete is at urea. Okay. And along with that, it also excretes out undigested waste. Pay attention. Cockroach does not have a separate urinary system. In our body, nitrogenous waste urea is released in the form of urine through the kidney, whereas the solid undigested waste is released through the rectal or the anal opening. So we have two different passages which carry out two different functions. Here there is only one opening, that is the rectal anal opening. So there is no urine which is made in cockroach. The nitrogenous waste or uric acid combines with the undigested food and released through the one opening only. There is no two openings, only one opening out. After ileum, we have got colon. Colon is rather long. In humans also, colon is a long chamber, okay, which reabsorbs water. Okay, whatever water was produced or probably taken inside the body of the cockroach, the reabsorption takes place in the colon. It's the main function. And it just passes out the rest of the undigested materials to the rectum. Finally, we have rectum, which has rectal pads which again absorb water. See, this is the major reason. Hear me out. Cockroach is not going to drink water day in and day out whenever it needs. Whenever it finds water, then only it can consume it. And not necessary that it will find water everywhere. It's not a human to consume water whenever it likes. So it needs to conserve the water that it has ingested. So for that, colon as well as rectum, both of them focus a lot on absorbing water. That's why the cockroach excreta is pelleting or it's in the solid most form. There is no liquid in it. Okay. And lastly, there is anal opening. This is at the 10th segment. I hope you all remember abdomen of cockroach has 10 segments and the last or the 10th segment has anus in it. We have learnt it as anus style, anus cerci. Okay, similar opening. And it excretes out the waste. Now let's quickly revise. We have foregut, midgut, hindgut in the alimentary canal. Foregut has got 4 parts. What are the 4 parts of the foregut? Quickly, let's revise. Okay, we have pharynx, esophagus, crop and gizzard. Midgut has 2 parts, stomach, hepatic, caecine. And your hindgut has 3 parts, ileum, colon and rectum. And with this, we end the digestive system of cockroach. I hope you have understood and I hope the notes pave a way in easing out your stress on learning cockroach. I'll be back next with circulatory system of cockroach. Till then, signing off. Bye.